What are you listening? Is it pleasant?
Of course, it's a famous song by the British rock band Radiohead, released in 1992.
Wow, almost 30 years.
Can you guess how many versions of this song are covered?
I don't know.
36.
Wow!
And it is constantly increasing. Listen to this version.
Electronic? It sounds very rhythmic, and there is a sense of future technology.
Yes, this version is from Jumper the Donny. They're an independent electronic music group.
The processed female voice has an ethereal feeling. Compared with emotion, the rhythm and arrangement are more brilliant.
Try this version again.
It's jazz. The singer's voice is very mellow.
This version is from Karen Souza, a jazz musician from Argentina.
The piano accompaniment is very distinctive, which dilutes the faint sadness of the original sound and adds a little more playfulness.
Try this next.
Wow, I get goosebumps. The hysterical roar. It's so contagious.
Compared with the gentle sadness of the original version, Prandia Carla's lead version can be said to be a desperate indulgence.
Different singers and different music genres give people different feelings when performing the same song.
This is the charm of music, which can transcend the national boundaries, races, and languages, and rouse the reasons of everyone.
Classic melody will never be out of date.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the class. Hello, everyone. Hello, Professor Chiu. Today, we will begin our journey to explore the beauty of traditional Chinese music. Chinese traditional music is an integral part of the world music. As a mirror of the conceptions of traditional culture, it deeply permeates the concept of traditional Chinese culture and the people's production and life, spiritual outlook, customs, and etiquette closely linked together, formed a complete cultural system. Yes, traditional Chinese music is characterized by distinctive aesthetic features. It values simplicity, drawing out particular ways of appreciation, and laying emphasis on the perception of atmospheric moods and meanings. Like other forms of Chinese culture, Chinese music has developed a self-organizing, self-contained system over thousands of years of accumulation and sedimentation. This system is mainly comprised of two subsystems. One is the system of regional culture, which is constituted by China's vast territory and is multifarious geographical and cultural environments. To be specific, dozens of Neolithic cultural centers formed since ancient times, including Hongshan, Yangshao, Longshan, Majiayao, Yuyao, and Qujialing. Many musical antiquities unearthed from the excavated sites of these Neolithic cultures showed regional differences in their material, shape, and decorative pattern. Before the end of pre-Qing dynasty, 220 BC, regional cultures that were mature and distinctive boomed in areas like Qilu, Yanzhao, Sanjing, Sanqing, Jinchu, Wuyue, Bashu, which laid the geographical foundation for the later thriving of regional music. Another subsystem is constituted by musical genres that have survived the long history. In contemporary China, almost every province and city has developed its own musical genres and performance forms. Nowadays, Most of the people learn about early Chinese music from collections of musical instruments in public museums. In addition, there are some texts and pictures about musical instruments in ancient books and scrolls. And there are even records about the scenes of the original inhabitants singing and dancing. As we mentioned before, the earliest examples of ancient folk songs can be found in Guofeng, Air of the States, a section from the Book of Songs, dated back to the spring and autumn period. Yes, early back in the Zhou dynasty, the court established the institution for poem collection and tribute as a measure of inspecting people's livelihood, which in turn reflected its reign. Special officers were therefore assigned to collect folk songs among the states. During warm springtime, they traveled deep into rural areas, holding a wooden bill in hand, visiting local singers, and bringing the songs back. This is perhaps the earliest cultural scene of Zhou Chinese we can think of. The old convention of caifeng, field working, which literally means picking customs, not only marks the beginning of the history of folk songs, but also set the humanistic tone for the later Chinese traditional music art. Actually, I think this is one of the most romantic and beautiful things we can do in spring. I agree. In Chinese culture, poetry had always been coexisting with music. Professor Qiu, what are the earliest musical instruments found in the splendid culture of ancient Chinese music? What do they sound like? How should we appreciate their beauty? Chinese music has had own systematic archaeology since ancient times. Musical instruments were traditionally grouped into 8 categories according to their materials. In the Zhou dynasty, musical instruments were classified into 8 categories according to their materials: gold, stone, earth, leather, silk, wood, gourd, and bamboo, which is also known as the 8-tone classification method recorded in ancient Chinese musical literature. Conceivably, the 8-tone classification method granted us access to the ancestors' aesthetics of music and sound that was deeply connected with the material base and the natural attributes of the instruments. The aesthetic had also influenced the craftsmanship of instruments, which gave shape to diverse folk beliefs and met different functional needs. Since the 1950s, significant achievements have been made in the field of research on Chinese early music, along with the excavations of some ancient tombs of vital importance. A group of 20 bone fruits discovered in the tomb in the Jiahu relics site in Wuyang County, Henan Province, is believed by experts to be the earliest existing wind musical instruments. The original concept of music and the practical nature of earlier music sounds thus could be perceived in the objects created by the ancestors, which are particularly associated with the natural environment in which the primitive men live, and with hunting as their primary means for subsistence. Among the earliest musical instruments are xun, bone whistle, bone flute, stone chime, and stone paixiao. Xun is a type of globular vessel flute, one of the oldest Chinese musical instruments. Throughout history, its shape and material have varied a lot. Xun was made in diverse forms, spherical, cubic, egg-shaped, or pear-shaped. It was initially made of baked clay, stone or bone, and later of ceramic, wood and jade. The red lacquered cloud dragon sheen used in the Qing court, now collected in the Palace Museum housed in the Forbidden City and the Chinese Art Academy in Beijing, has 6 holes. It has an elegant shape and is hand-carved with exquisite cloud and dragon reliefs coated in crimson lacquer. Originated from the Western Zhou period around 1000 BC, Bianzhong became a symbol of wealth and power, and were thriving in the subsequent spring and autumn period and Warring States period. Often, it was used in Asian rituals. The Bianzhong set is made of bronze and consists of oval-shaped bells that vary widely in their sizes. Additionally, the inscription on the body of the bells, including 2,828 characters in total, which recorded important terminologies about the temperament of ancient music. Up till today, the Bianzhong of Marquis Yi of Zhen is still the biggest and most well-preserved collection of the same instrument ever found in history. Among all the traditional Chinese music instruments, the guqin is considered as the oldest instrument that has been handed down to generations till today. In 2003, the art of the guqin was added to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization list of the masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity, according to the literature 结石调幽兰. Solitary orchid in the stone tablet mold is believed to be transcribed by Qiu Ming during the Southern Liang Dynasty and is now preserved in the Tokyo National Museum in Japan. According to a remark included in the preface of the score, the musical sound is subtle, but is aspiration noble. Musicologists believe that the piece was associated with the musical aesthetic of Chinese Confucianism. The dizi, flute, is also an important traditional Chinese musical instrument. It was recorded in the Book of Music. The purging effect of flute can drive out evenness and usher in the sound of righteousness. It could be said that in the past, the sound of flute was thought to incarnate the Confucian ideas about beauty and goodness. Yes, the Tang poet Li Bai wrote in his poem Hearing Flute on a spring night in Luoyang, from whose home secretly flies the sound of a jade flute. It's lost amid the spring wind, filling the whole Luoyang city. It is believed that bamboo flute was already popular since the Tang Dynasty, both in court and among the ordinary people. Since then, its long-term popularity, flute music started to form into different regional styles. Qudi of the south and Bandi of the north represent the two most important styles, which have become a canon for today's flute music practicing. A sibling to the di, the xiao is a vertical and blown flute, similarly made in bamboo. Over the past hundreds of years, it appeared as one of the most beloved symbols of the elite class in numerous poems, proses, and paintings. Yes, in the famous scroll called Lady Playing Xiao, the Ming scholar, poet, and painter Tang Ying depicted an elegant young lady playing a xiao, which had triggered generations of scholars' imagination about the music the lady played and on what kind of occasion she played the music. According to illustrations in the historical documents, the xiao was seen in diverse combinations of instruments from the Qing and Han dynasty to the northern and southern dynasties. The combinations of the xiao and the qing, or the xiao and other string and wind instruments, were of enormous popularity. The instrument's timbre is known for its mellowness, elegance, soothing effort, and sometimes a melancholic quality. And for this reason, it is often played with the guqin to express a tranquil, meditative, and serene feeling. We often talk Shen and Xiao together. According to legend, the Shen is believed to be created by Nuwa, the mother goddess of Chinese mythology. The appearance of the word Shen can be found as early as in the Book of Songs, dating back 7th century BCE, when the instrument was believed to be commonly used and even as important member in the court ensemble. From the northern and southern dynasties to the Tang dynasty, the shen of different sizes and shapes were widely used in the yayue, literally elegant music, a form of classical music. Since the Song dynasty, the shen started to enjoy increasing popularity among the common people. The art of pipa has a long history and has received a wide reception across various social classes. The performance of the pipa could be found at the imperial court or ordinary people's passenger ship. As one of the oldest solo instruments, the pipa still owns a substantial repertoire today. Pipa Xing, Son of the Pipa Player, is a renowned Chinese long narrative poem written by the Tang poet Bai Juyi. The bold strings rattled like petal rain. The fine ones hammered like soft whispers, pattering and whispering interwove, as pearls big and small, frolicking on a jade platter. This metaphor epitomizes the characteristics of the sounds of Chinese flunked string instruments. Chinese traditional opera, Greek tragedy and comedy, and India Sanskrit opera are considered as the world's three ancient dramas. Chinese opera evolved gradually over the past more than 1,000 years, reaching its maturity in the 17th century during the Song dynasty. Early forms of Chinese opera dated back to as early as the pre-Qing period. Later forms include the Baixi, a popular entertainment of the Han dynasty, and the Canjunxi, a shortened play of the Tang dynasty. With the rise of cities, wealthy, educated merchant classes emerged. A bigger demand for entertainment, such as comedy and satire, thus appeared. By the time of the Song dynasty, the Zaju genre had come into being. While in northern China, the Zaju flourished into the next dynasty. It branched off to the new genres of the Nanxi, literary drama of the South and the legend. These are the ancestors of today's well-known genre. Kunqu, one of the oldest extant forms of Chinese opera, which dominated Chinese theater from the 16th to the 18th centuries. In 2001, Kunqu was proclaimed as one of the masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural organization. Two developments in the history of Kunqu are fundamental to its status as an unprecedentedly mature and refined form of music theater that combines storytelling performances, music, and dance. The first is the formation of a new, subtle, and tranquil singing style known as the 水磨调 word-finding melody, developed by a musician called Wei Liangfu in the middle 16th century. The other one being is the creation of the Peony Pavilion by Tang Xianzu, which is often considered as the greatest romantic tragicomedy play in the history of Chinese opera. With its gripping stories, magnificent language, mellifluous vocal style, and a number of characters, mostly handsome young men and gentle ladies, who are often portrayed as sentimental and melancholic stories. Kunqu has become one of the most beloved genres of Chinese opera in its 300-year-long inheritance.
四大声腔 Four great characteristic melodies, namely 昆腔、高腔、皮黄腔 and 梆子腔, together refers to the four major categories of 声腔 that dominate most of the music styles of opera genres across China. These four families of characteristic melodies have developed a mature system of principal music materials, and each family possesses its highly distinctive style and approach of melodic composition.
While Kunqu plays an irreplaceable role in laying the foundation for the performance system of Chinese opera, Beijing opera, originating only 200 years ago, was hailed national opera on account of its fast maturation and enormous popularity in the early 20th century.
胡琴, also referred to as 二胡, is the most common Chinese bowed string instrument. It is a spike fiddle consisting of two strings. Chinese bowed string instruments can be traced back to the Tang and Song period, later than the wind and plunked string instruments.
According to historical records, Huqin is believed to have evolved from Yazheng or Xiqin. It remains a controversial topic. However, that what the bowed string instruments were like and how they were performed in the early stage of their popularity. Historical records show that this instrument type was already included in ensemble music in the Song dynasty.
With the rising of the drama music and rap music in the Ming and Qing period, Huqin, that was similar to its form today, gradually became an important accompaniment instrument in the opera, rap music, and instrumental music of various regions.
The sound of string plucked became an emblem of the unique atmosphere, artistic conception, and aesthetic of Chinese instrumental music. Instruments like the guqin, pipa, and guzheng were prevalent in people's musical life. They were performed both in the ceremonial yayue at imperial courts and in the folkloric sizhu and luogu ensembles also. They were commonly played as solo instruments, which had greatly refined the techniques and nurtured a wide range of performance schools.
Traditional Chinese music has a unique charm and extraordinary artistic beauty since ancient times. In addition to the unique structure of melody and tone, the verse of the overtones is the common pursuit of artistic beauty, conveyed by Chinese traditional music in its inheritance process.
The inner soul of music is emotion, while the external expression of music is form. Emotions that are not wrapped in musical form are not music. Chinese traditional music attaches great importance to the formal beauty, and these forms often conserve the content well in the music expression, and the expression of emotion often can play a double effect.
Professor Chiu, traditional Chinese music mainly includes song music, rap music, drama music, dance music, and instrumental music. Today, we are just come the development of traditional Chinese music.
Yes, in the next course, we will experience the beauty of melody, rhythm, artistic conception, and lyricism of traditional Chinese music from excellent works. That's all for today.
See you next time.